ago is back around probably about 1990. I was involved in construction before I was a pastor. And I just built a beautiful home for Tammy and I and Jerry, Jesse, and Jake. Jake was a newborn. He was maybe a year old. In fact, he wasn't even born when I started to build the house. And it's a beautiful home with a view in Portland, Oregon, and we looked out on a hilltop at a view of the airport and Mount St. Helens in the distance. It was just a dream come true to have this beautiful new home that we built. Well, my mother-in-law came into town, and she saw the house. She lived out in another city, and she says, you know, I talked to my husband. He's wondering if he could buy that lot next to you and have you build us a house. And I said, well, I don't know what that means. I mean, it's going to cost a lot of money. He said he would do it for me, so okay, we made the deal. So she comes into town, and we meet with an architect, and we start designing the house. And you sit down with my mother-in-law, which she's awesome, and she's filled with faith, but she's not real good with three-dimensional and thinking things through and what structure and cost. And she says, well, I want to have, and she rattles all these rooms. So it was supposed to be a couple thousand square feet. Then it got 3,000 square feet. Then it got 4,000 square feet. Then it got 5,000 square feet. And we said, time out. We've exceeded the lot. But she'd come into town. We meet with the architect, meet with the architect, meet with the architect. We finally had an approved, stamped, official set of plans. We can now start construction. So we started building this house. I mean, she wanted a basement, so we had to blow up all the rocks and do all this kind of thing, put the basement in. And so the house is being framed more and more. And every time she would come into town every month or so, she would walk through it and say, well, what's that wall there for? Well, that's where the plan. You said, I never wanted a wall there. We cannot, oh my God, we cannot have a wall there. So we go back to the architect, take the wall out. So every time she would come, don't tell her, but I would cringe because I knew. She'd walk in that house, and she'd want to change a room. She'd want to change the whole backyard. She'd want to move the moon over 3 degrees. You can't see, I mean, just come on. So finally, the house is completely framed. 5,000 square feet, 3 floors, beautiful house, gorgeous. And it's about time to start to put the roof on it. So she comes into town, she goes, we're talking about the roof, and she goes, that's a tile roof, right? I said, well, no, man, we weren't going to put a tile. Oh, my God, I thought for sure we've got to have a tile roof on the house. So I debated whether, no, she got to have a tile roof. So we changed, and we went and got the tile, we put them on. And then there was a lull. She didn't come into town for a while. And we stopped construction for maybe 4 or 5 months, a long time. It just sat there, framed and a roof on it, and that's it. So one day we started it back on the construction again, and one of the guys comes over and knocks on the door. He says, hey, Jerry, we got a little problem in your house over here. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, you better come look. She went down into the basement. He says, right there. I said, oh, my, what's that? He said, that's a crack in the foundation. I said, well, why would that happen? Oh, my God. He said, this is serious, man. I don't know what we're going to have to call some structural engineers, and here there's something wrong. So we called the architect. He says, well, starts asking questions and this and then the roof. And I said, yeah, tile. He said, wait, tile roof? I said, well, yeah. He said, we never engineered this for a tile roof. That's too much weight. You're going to have to jack the house up. And you're going to have to pull out some lumber, some studs, and you're going to have to actually cut into the concrete and pour in a larger foundation and let the house come back down, and then you can finish your house. So thousands of dollars later and many delays later, we finally had the house fixed. Now, my whole point is, don't build your mother-in-law a house. No, actually, yeah, Tammy reminded me. I worked for another year to finish it to her specifications. She changed her mind and we sold it. Nobody ever lived in it in our family. But back to the story. My point in the story is not don't build a house for your mother-in-law. Actually, it is a point, but not the real point. It's, we had plans that were engineered. And we were supposed to follow the plan. But with the best of intentions, we had ideas that did not represent the plans. They were good ideas. A tile roof is wonderful. Adding more things in the house, great ideas. But if they aren't approved, if they're not by the pattern, if it's not engineered properly, you can bring some harm to people. So it is with the Word of God. So it is with life. God has given us blueprints. He's given us patterns to follow. He's given the Bible, the Word, theology, scriptures, verses, teachings, sound doctrine. And the Bible tells us in quite a few places that we are to be diligent to study the Word, so that we would know what the Bible teaches. The only reason as humans that we do not find success in certain areas and we encounter failure, the real primary reasons, other than the fact the devil's attacking us, the primary reason is we're not following the instructions. Because if we follow the instructions, only blessing comes. Favor from God comes. God just over and over again gives us these. You want to have a great marriage? Well, then we need to study, what does the instruction manual tell us? You want to be successful. Instead of just shooting from the hip and hoping it works, why don't we ask the Father of all creation, who knows everything, who's omnipotent, he knows all, he's all powerful, he's everywhere, he can do anything, and ask him how to make these things work.